Choke, no joke.
KK on
New
the
life. They said I'll be dead or in jail. They was half right, I saw right can sell. I knew I wasn't rich when I couldn't make bail. I made out good, 5 niggas that didn't tell. Hold up, don't go to trial when caught up. Roll the dice, watch the numbers just go up. When you're off for word shorties and pups nuts, you got the whammy, cause you pressed your luck. You could've been back on the town, industry bound, no more busting it down. To court is half O's, have to catch the flow, and reassuring those who act like they don't know that the ratchet let go. If you think we won't fill them hollow points up with mercury, send them to another planet, leave them screaming like Mike and Janet. Niggas can't stand it. I felt champagne with Ross running the game. When I was locked and the CO jumped in my face, talking gangster, nigga. Like I'm not a fucking gangster, nigga. But you got it in here, cause the odds ain't fair. Cause you got that walkie and that button right there. But after 8 hours, you leave here. And that's when you friend, it's not fair. You shoot at the range, we shoot when in range. Roll up in that range, your face look real strange. The look on my face is I got that aim. Before you reach, you feel the pain. Blood stain, calculate to your brain. You been licked by that thing. In the game of death, that's what you get when got game. It's a method to the madness, how I bring the pain of one that's not sane. Choke, no joke. I do my thing. Can't hang. They say you're nobody until they kill you. I'm somebody alive, guess that make me an ill dude. Made my name before the funeral, considered a legend and still make moves. They know you when you gone, they know me when I'm on. All over the board, you restricted, you pawn. You wouldn't cut a lawn, blow a candle at dawn. Joe got it going on like fuel. Some of you fools is more ass than mule. Never rule like Rick with Mona Lisa in your crib. Haters mad cause I'm doing what they wish they did. Without the rock and still gunning like Chris. Nigga try to block, I time off this shit. Nigga looking down at me, now he looking at dick. Pause, just the term and shit. It's choke, no joke. Nigga, I'm lit. Fired up. Choke, no joke, you know what it is. Let's go, let's go. I inspire y'all to all want more. Don't listen to these fakes and these frauds. They don't own cars with Lamborghini doors. When hype show cut, it's back to the store. I was born in the Jackson, this shit was hell. The place where I saw soldiers fall. Some simply for nothing at all. Some cause they lived on the other side of the wall. Now this might sound crazy, love what the hood made me. Poverty made me far from lazy. This ain't the place you wanna raise your babies. Young girls out here thinking they lazy. Nose powdered white, they brain all hazy. Ask them what they wanna be, they look at you crazy. These young cats out here looking all angry. I was just like them, sometimes the music made me act other than myself, no influence lately. Cause behind the scenes they not living greatly. And I found out that most of these cats never sold jacks or the penitentiary. Let's go. I inspire y'all to all want more. Don't listen to the face and the frauds. They don't own cars and Lamborghini doors. The hype yo cut is back in the store. I inspire y'all to all want more. Don't listen to the face and the frauds. They don't own cars and Lamborghini doors. The hype yo cut is back in the store. They not selling drugs, they really not thugs. If they was, where are the slugs? Do you see them when you cop your drugs? Pulling up with S to B in the front? Nah, it's not what they got, it's what they want. In the jungle, we all on the hunt. It's chemical. It's chemical beats.
Den Hirschen haben von was, oder?
Hold on. No autographs right now. I got something to handle right here. No disrespect.
Beat on the drums.
Choke, no joke on the mic. Life with success. Is this what it is? Let's go. Life with success. Is this what it is? Paparazzi running around flashing your kids, trying to catch them with a blunt or a cig, hoping that they fall in some type of addiction. Baby mama hitting you with numbers like addition. Shit so high, you feel like she pimping. It's alright, bitch. Yeah, I'm tripping, but it's better than the fucking max I'm spitting. You can have every time before you see this Jimmy again. If life was a movie, you'd be going in the wind. And this flow ain't conceptualized off gin and tonic. But how ironic, you foul once a nigga went and got it poppin'. I guess that's why you pushed up when I was Milano hopping. Out in high school, fresh with jewels, looking successful as I do. I made you a star in the hood, kept you in leathers and bamboo. Fresh footwear, girl, I kept you good. Every color to match, your butter sauce, moved you to edge comb. From the concourse, left mom house living better off. Now you write that shit all off. Like taxes, make me wanna remove your parts with chainsaw and axes. I need to roll up and get back to relaxing. Is this what it is? Life with success, Is this what it is? Chicks you took care of, motherfuckers you looked out for. Everybody turn on you back, they motherfucking hand out. Is this what it is?
Life with success, sometimes it sucks. When people want something's when they call up.
Yeah.
People wanna hang, cause you got a new truck.
Let's go.
Now you hang with chicks that you dreamed you fuck.
Haters want you stuck, chicks trying to get knocked up. Cake in the oven and eat your cake up. Chick, get your own and raise our stakes up. The more you get, yo, the shit get iller. So I might go from the glove one and turn to thriller. Saw dealers get extorted by Popo when they needed a filler. And the shit get realer. They wanna clap back, but sit back and be a griller. Or be on a manhunt like Larry Davis. That's on the realer. Success have a lot of dudes on painkillers, or puffing that fuzzy like caterpillars. It ain't easy to deal with. Life is success, Is this what it is? Life is success. Is this what it is? Thank you.
Stay the hell.
Don't follow those cats. Choke, don't choke. You already know. Let's go out the gray, go. Now I'm out the game. Feel good not pitching in the hood. And I really don't think I could. Go back to selling crack and stashing them packs in my ass. I maintain weekly money the same, and nah, I don't go through them games. Niggas testing my brain with them triple beams filled with change. Pot crack, grams in the drain, getting hit with the fake exchange. Like baking soda flour, after being on Broadway for hours. Getting knocked, being back at start. Niggas testing if I got heart. Pushing me to pop some shots, just stop the ball before the start. Old lady with the binocs, give description to cops. Why they try to tear us apart with that good cop, bad cop. I ain't going for the game, he ain't tell you a thing. Your partners with them saying the same. You tighten them cuffs till you see veins. Stop fucking yanking them down. They might fuck you if you ain't sane. And nigga never sniff cocaine. And I don't care what game or part of the area you claim. Pray Scarface, you must be insane. Nigga, Tony fucked the boy's dame. His right hand man, he's slain to get his back blown out the game. Do it on the low, let nobody know. No pillow talk to home. And if he step on your toes, don't bust a blame. Cause everybody will know or get out the game. They say that change is good. It's a lot of stress in the hood, and I know if you could, you would. Get out the game, but you stuck in that time where the nigga in public like shine. For a witness to drop a dime for self-defense, do or die. Celebs doing time. Mike Vick on the child line. Even Kobe, Jason Williams, Gage, kick like Shinobi. Little Kim for Perjury. You know you done fucked up, right? You know you done fucked up, right? Let's go. When it's late night, make sure it's packed tight. And when you take those flights, never eye the Jake in sight. And shake them fuckers when they dead to right. Making a fifth go rumble because of stick up trouble. Blasting your gap for a cat, for in fact, for some crap that don't involve you. For some dudes that don't love you, all they wanna do is pawn you until you go down. And don't do shit for you when you lock down, or even when you touch down. But they tell you to go to the pound, the same block that gave you a pound. Years in the pen, now you live it again. What mind state are you in? When you back it for 10, and you was just waiting for a teen to come home to relive it again. Entrapment should be a sin, the way they reel us in, roll us to a revolving door to bring us in. This shit is insane. The game is insane. The game will fuck with your brain. That's why I'm out the game. Yeah. Just get out the game, man. I know they told y'all there's only 2 ways out. Jail and death. Nah, just get out, nigga. Just get out, man. It's easy. Just walk away, nigga. If they care about you, they'll let you go. If you in the game and you wanna go and get a better life, and they won't let you walk away, what do that say? Get out the game, nigga. You wanna sleep easy, nigga? Look at these rap niggas, nigga. You wanna be the next rapper, trapper, clapper, federal indictment rapper, huh? I keep telling y'all niggas, man, get out the game, man. Joke no joke. Grego, you already know. The beast is chemical, baby. That's why I'm out the game. Check it out. Choke no joke. Learn from mistakes. DJ S&S the great. It ain't no telling you be a first time felon. No telling when you be a first time felon. It ain't no telling you be a first time felon. No telling when you be a first time felon. Best day of my life, no sleep all night. Broke day for weeks, my cash was right. My capo tight, take our loot, unite. 23-hour shifts had us elude like Mike. Cash lovely, yeah, Dougie. How could this day get so ugly? Wifey bout to pop like some bubbly. Yo, doodles now most don't really bug me. Felt like a star, cop first car. Get up with the guard, what it is, baby paw. You about to cop a van, get up with our mans. Before we reached our low spot, toast blam. Unaware what happened, discussing the clapping. It wasn't loud, ain't shit gon' happen. Me being stupid instead of getting they moving. This nigga kept chefing like the woo one. Then we heard a knock, no one knew of this spot. 6 niggas in the spot, 6 niggas not. Ain't no telling you be a first time felon. No telling when you be a first time felon. It ain't no telling you be a first time felon. No telling when you be a first time felon. It ain't no telling you be a first time felon. No telling when you be a first time felon. I'm in the precinct all damn even. This good cop, bad cop shit got me steaming. No, I was caught, I ain't give a fuck. Had jokes like the usual suspects line up. Book times up, came back fuck. Shirt wrinkled up, my pigs roughed me up. Time's up, heard them clink of the cuffs. Niggas was so deep they had to call on the bus. Everybody that checks outside waiting on us like ghetto celebs. Our cells ain't plush. 5 in the book and gave a whooping. He never forget, they gotta be split. Up mark us. Everybody interjects, waiting on us. Try to bail us out, that thought got thrown out. Bill one so high, I couldn't bear half a nigga out. Copped out, that's what first fell in the bow. Back on the bus, Rikers the row. Wifey in the courtroom crying out. We love y'all with tears running in their mouth. It ain't no telling you be a first time felon. No telling when you be a first time felon. It ain't no telling you be a first time felon. No telling when you be a first time felon. Choke no joke, learn from mistakes. Keep chasing that paper, you gonna catch a case. DJ S&S the great.
Choke, no joke, chicky choke, no joke. Choke, no joke, chicky choke, no joke. Reba, what up, Reba? Dipset Forever, what up? Bigger BX, what up? Leslie, Jeanette, Richie Rich, Siani, Yvonne, what up? Ice Junior, what up? Choke, no joke, y'all already know. We here now. Truth be told, all day, every day, even on your birthday. Shout out to all my hip hop heads. Y'all know it's National Hip Hop Month. You know what I'm saying? If you've been in hip hop as long as me, you know that means something to you. How y'all feeling out there? Sorry, I'm a little late. Had a few things to do. You know, this time change kind of threw off my schedule a little bit. So, you know, I'm getting readjusted. Mr. 313, what up? What up, though? Good looking. Appreciate that. Well, we got a birthday in here. T House. Happy birthday to you, T House. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Stephanie, welcome. Simply Erica, welcome. L. Campbell, what up? Yeah, this hoodie's there on my website, chokenojokeproductions.com. You heard? Born alone, die alone. And Dolo. Ed, what up, Ed? So, I don't know how many of y'all caught the episode that aired at 6 o'clock with the panel, you know, with us talking about Angelo's testimony. You know, I didn't get the chance to air that panel. After I did the live, I had pulled it down and stuff because it was like way too much stuff in there. So I've been putting it up in pieces because it was 4 hours. But let's see. A lot of people were saying there was a lot of lies in that one. Carlos, good looking. Shout out to the Patreon gang in the building. Shout out to the Nut Hugger gang. Tracy, good looking, Tracy. Appreciate you. Y'all keep telling me about people blocking y'all. Look, I don't control the block button. I don't know who's blocking y'all. But I don't have that power, and I ain't got time to be looking through no block list. You know they block you if you talk crazy. But the block button don't mean nothing, man. As long as you can still see the show, that's all that matters to me. You know, if you know we cool, ain't nothing to worry about. The block button stops y'all from disrespecting each other, especially y'all that be having these YouTube wars. You know, I don't want that energy spilling over on my channel. So, you know, listen, don't worry about the block. It's about the information. You don't have to worry about talking to people in the chat and all that other stuff. Let's just focus on the information, not the people in the chat. I want to talk about this dude Biden for a second. I don't want to thank all y'all who voted Biden in. Y'all know that Biden's approval rating has now dropped down to 37%, 38%. Do y'all know that Biden is about to get migrants 450,000 if they came into this country and their kids got taken away from them? 450,000. We still ain't get our 40 acres or fucking mule. And Biden is getting ready to give not the homeless people, not the people that came in on slave ships, not the Indians that got slaughtered here, but the people that snuck from other countries and came through the border and got separated from their kids. They can say, "Oh, I lost Junior, I lost Julio," and they get 450,000. And what do we get? Jack Squidly Dwight. Squat. We get nothing. We get nothing. And remember, y'all voted him in. Y'all let them put in your head that he was better than Trump. The dude that invented the crime bill. Crime Bill Joe. Jim Crow Joe. Y'all still ain't seen Kamala Harris yet. I ain't seen none of y'all with no pictures with Kamala. Y'all all got pictures with Michelle Obama. I ain't seen none of y'all with a picture with homegirl. Been so black. She's so black. Y'all got fooled by her ass. All y'all women, oh, we gonna have a first black vice president. Y'all ain't seen that woman yet. I ain't seen her nowhere. Where is she at? When Trump was in office, I wasn't paying more than $2.10 a gallon for gas. Now I'm paying $350. Thank y'all who voted Biden in. I just want to thank y'all who vote. I don't want to thank y'all. I want to thank y'all for not listening to me tell y'all this is Crime Bill Jim Crow Joe. He don't care for black people. Trump was going to give us some money. He even took Ice Cube's Black America plan. What y'all do? Y'all go with Biden. Yo, Choke, why you tell people to vote for Trump? You gonna choose Biden over Trump, Jim Crow Joe, and Kamala Harris that locked up more black people than goddamn crack. Now y'all don't even see Kamala Harris. You seen Michelle Obama, who was the first lady, more than you seen her. You seen Ivana Trump more than you seen goddamn Kamala Harris. This lady is nowhere. Biden is rewarding illegal behavior. So you come into our country illegally with your kid and you get separated. How do we know if you had a kid with you, first of all? So y'all rewarding illegal behavior. You come in this country illegally, we're going to give you $450,000. And then you opened up the borders. The U.S. borders are open now, y'all. It's open for everybody except for those who are seeking asylum from Mexico. Our borders is open now. With a pandemic. And if you come in here and you lose your kid, we're going to give you $450,000. But if you slaved in this country and you built this country and you was the descendant of slaves, you get shit. This nigga Trump talking about make America great again. All about American. Oh, this nigga's a racist. He's a racist. What do you call Biden? A motherfucker that's rewarding niggas for sneaking in the country. Yo, we gonna give y'all $500,000 if y'all sneak in here and your kid gets separated. How can we get some of that money, my nigga? How? So people could come from other countries. And you get them a $450,000 before you take care of our homeless people, our Section 8 people, our people on welfare, all the people that lost their job because they didn't want to get the fucking jab. But you're going to give it to people that did not grow up in this country, who don't even have a birth certificate, a social security card. You're going to give them $450,000 of our hard-earned tax money? You serious? $450,000, y'all, to migrants who came in here illegally. And y'all voted for this dude. And now y'all want to drop his approval rate to 38%. And next month is going to be 10%. Good looking, Don C. Who voted for this guy? Raise your hands if you voted for this guy. And then here's the other thing. Biden puts out a mandate for the vaccination. A bunch of y'all couldn't hold out. Y'all got pressured into getting it. Do you know that in certain states, the appeal courts holds the appeal courts put a freeze on Biden's mandate? So in a minute, it ain't gonna be mandatory. So all of us that didn't get it, we ain't gonna have to get it. Because they taking that shit to the Congress and then to the Supreme Court. They get ready to shut that mandate down. They already put a hold on it. So it is not no longer mandated, but for y'all that went and got it already because y'all felt like, you know, you had to make money, all these cops, firemen, you know, government workers that saying they not getting it, they sticking to it. And being that they sticking to it, it's starting to hold up in court. You know, because what are we gonna do? Not have no police? Not have no firemen? So now they like, oh. Let's think about this mandate thing. Because certain people are like, yo, F you, I'm walking. I'm walking. Some of them are retiring if they're able to retire. But the craziest thing is this dude Biden want to give $450,000 to migrants who came over here illegally. And we can't get reparations. We can't get out 40 acres and a mule. And you just gonna drop $450,000. So what, we gonna start working for these migrants? These illegal immigrants, we gonna be working for them? They gonna be turning their noses up to us because they got more money than us. Overnight, bam. Motherfucker turn around, your neighbor done went and bought a big ass house and they was living in Section 8. And you still right there in Section 8. This is America, people. This is America. Black people, we get it worse. Black people, we get it bad, man. We get it bad, man. Oh, black people, we get it bad. They do it so dirty. But I'm not putting on my quarter tire today to get into this. But we're going to get back to these transcripts. Now, hopefully you was on, and if you didn't get to see the last docket, or you didn't see the episode that aired at 6 o'clock, or if you didn't get to see Angelo Clary's interview, or me reading the cross-examination from the defense, you might be a little lost, but it'll be easy to catch up because this is going to be the redirect from the prosecutor after the defense. We just heard the defense have a cross-examination with Azriel, and we heard what she said about everything. Now, the prosecutor, after they done took a break, the prosecutor's getting ready to redirect those questions and ask those questions from their side of it. They try to change her answers. So I'll talk about the Travis Scott situation another day. So here we go. So this is Miss Gaddis, which is the the DA or the prosecutor for the government, and she is cross-examining Azriel. And here we go. On the cross-examination, defense counsel asked you about the reasons that you told the defendant that you were 18 years old rather than your true age of 17. Why did you tell the defendant that you were 18 and not 17? I had told the defendant I was 18 because of previous court proceedings. And not one of yours, correct? No, the defendant's. On cross-examination, you was asked about a document that you testified about on direct where your parents authorized another individual to act as your guardian while you were still 17. Do you recall those questions on both direct and cross? Yes, I do. And on direct, you identified that individual who is named as your guardian in those documents as Juice's mother, correct? Yes, that is correct. How do you know Juice's mother? The defendant had told me about her, and he would allow her to be around us. And aside from the defendant, did you have any other means of knowing Juice's mom? I did not. No. And about how about her parents? Did your parents have any other means of knowing Juice's mom? They did not. No. On cross-examination, you were shown a variety of letters, handwritten letters. There was a defense exhibit N and O, and I think S and T. I'm going to show you in a moment. Do you recall those letters? Yes. And those letters purportedly to family members. Is that correct? Correct. Did you send any of those letters? My family never saw those letters. And what was the purpose of writing those letters? The defendant will have other girlfriends make me write those letters. And he said that they would go to his attorneys and they would never see the light of day. And whose idea was the content of those letters? It was to protect the defendant. Objection. Well, the question is whose idea was it to write those letters? The witness. It was the defendant. And if anyone told you what to write in those letters, the defendant would tell me exactly what to say. And you testified earlier about the reason for it. What was the reason for it? It was to protect the defendant and to protect him from what? Objection, overruled. Again, previous court proceedings, a previous attorney had told him to make sure every girlfriend was writing letters to protect the defendant. That shit sounds like straight up bullshit. Like, you know damn well they coached her to say this bullshit. How did this even make sense? Fair to say it was to protect him from, this is leading, Your Honor. It's overruled. Fair to say it was to protect him in a trial like this on various serious charges. Yes. Objection. Overruled. And I'm showing you the witness what's been marked for identification as Government Exhibit 315 and 16. May I approach, Your Honor? Yes. Do you recognize what's shown in Government Exhibit 315 and 16? Yes, I do. Just generally speaking, what are those? Those are statements that the defendant made me write. And they are typewritten statements. Yes, they are. And whose idea was the content in these statements? The defendant. Ms. Giddens, office 315 and 316. Any objection? May I see them? Sure. No objection, Your Honor. Okay, that's in evidence. And I'm going to have you read out each of these as they are somewhat lengthy, but in some of the content that was in those handwritten letters that you previously read during your cross-examination, also repeated in these typewritten letters. Yes? And at the time, in those letters, both that you read on cross-examination and government exhibit 315 and 316, there's conversations about what, if anything, you and your mom did prior to meeting the defendant in Jacksonville. Do you recall what was in those letters? I do, yes. And what was that true, what you wrote there? It was fabricated. So this girl sits down and write fake letters to her brother. Like, oh my God, yo. Oh boy. And again, whose idea was it to fabricate that? The defendants. Am I showing the witness? And I'm showing the witness only what's been marked for identification as government exhibit 456 and 461. May I approach? Yes. Do you recognize what's shown in 456 and 461? Yes, I do. And just generally speaking, what are those? Those are letters to exploit me, to protect me. I'll sustain just to that part. Those are letters are those letters similar to those other ones you described? Yes, they were to Your Honor. Yes. All right. I don't know what your objection to. She hasn't said anything. All right. Next question. Those are letters similar to the ones before. Go ahead. And who wrote those letters? I did. Whose idea was the content? The defendants. Government Office 456 and 461. No objection. I want to mail publish, Your Honor. Yes. The jury only, please. Exhibit publish. Could you please, without reading, is that your name signed at the bottom? Yes, it is. Okay, so please don't read your name, but could you read the content of what you wrote in this one-page letter? Yes. Robert, I wanted you, but you only wanted me to be friends, and I'm sorry. Robert, I wanted you, but you only wanted me to be friends. You only wanted to help me learn and watch me grow. I wanted more. I wanted you to make me feel good. I desperately wanted you to want me how I crave you. I started making threats to you, and I'm sorry. If you don't bring me back that dick, then I'm going to tell everyone you raped me. I'm going to tell everyone you've been raping me since I've been a minor. I know that saying that could not only jeopardize your image, but ruin everything you have. But I want you, and I won't stop until I have you. I know you don't want me to. I know you don't want to have sex with me, but I yearn to feel your dick inside of me. Who wrote this? Her mother? Like, what? You're not trying to seduce me, and that makes me want you even more. I knew you'd never want to have sex with me, so I came up with stuff to say so you have no choice but to fuck me. I'll tell everyone you raped me. I'll tell everyone you hit me and was fucking a minor. I'll make up lies and say you tied me down and fucked me as I cried out, even though both know you did, but I just wish you wanted to fuck me as bad as I wanted to fuck you. I'm so sorry I couldn't accept just being friends. Anything in that letter, this is the prosecutor talking now. Anything in that letter you just wrote accurate? No. Aside from where I say aside from where I say abuse, but everything else is not true. And this is an example of one of those letters that the defendant had you and other females who were living with him write to protect himself. Yes. This girl's such a liar, yo. Oh my God. I like to publish this for the witness, not for only the witness. I want to publish for the jury. Excuse me. I want to publish for the jury only what's in evidence now as government exhibit 456. Hey, crack. Oh, okay. Again, without reading at the bottom, whose name is that? Mine. So without reading your name, and just to be clear, is that both your first and last name on there? Yes, it is. And that is your signature. Yes, it is. All right. So without reading your name, we'll cover up. Just to make sure, thank you. Can you please read what's written in Government Exhibit 456? Robert, I also did some bogus. Robert, I also did something bogus just in case you caught me stealing and let me go. I decided I would spank myself really hard until I had bruises on me and was going to blackmail you and say you did it to protect myself. And I don't want to be thinking like that because that's exactly what my mom and dad is doing to you right now. I hope one day you forgive me. Did you ever spank yourself? Never. On cross-examination, and just to be clear, fair to say, this is another letter that the defendant asked you to write for his protection in the future. Yes, it is. Yo, this is bullshit, yo. How does this even make sense? How does this even make sense, yo? On cross-examination, and just to be clear, fair to say this is another letter that defendant asked you to write for his protection in the future. This shit is crazy, dog. Yes, it is. On cross-examination, you were asked whether you took any pictures of bruises that you had and whether you sent those to any family member. Do you recall those questions? I do, yes. Did you take any pictures of bruises that you had? I did, yes. What did you do with those photographs? What did you do with them? At the time, I had sent them to my email from my email. So you sent them to yourself? Yes. Why did you do that? Because the defendant had already been like checking my phone and had my password. So if he had your phone and your password, what emailing yourself was going to do, sweetheart? If he got the phone, he got the password to your phone, and you emailing yourself, how? Come on, shorty. Stop with the lies, please. Lord have mercy. Jesus Christ, they can lock her up for perjury 10 times just between the defense and the prosecution statements. Yo, this, oh my God, I can't even stomach this girl lying. Oh, because the defendant had already been like checking my phone and had my password. And so what about that made you send yourself those photographs? He didn't know anything about apps and emails. So I figured if I had sent it to my email, that was one place he wouldn't know. So it was a manner in which you would be able to keep those photographs. Yes, it was. Now, there did come a time when either the defendant or someone else did go through your emails. Yes, it was. Who went through your emails? I had Juice go through my phone. How did that come about? I had gotten in trouble and he had her thoroughly check my phone while he was in the studio. And do you recall what, if anything, Juice did after she checked your phone? Yes. What did she do? She told the defendant that I had sent pictures to myself, and he took the phone, and he took that phone, and I never saw it again. And have you had an opportunity to see whether or not do you still have the email account from which you sent those, to which you sent those photographs? I don't remember that email in 2015. Now we all know, y'all, emails don't go nowhere. And we all know that you can do a password recovery for your email. This girl is full of shit, yo. This shit is upsetting to me at this point. Did you tell the government about an email address that you believe you had in 2015? Yes, I did. And did you tell the government that perhaps they could find those photographs? Objection, overruled. Yes, I did. You were asked on cross-examination about the name that called the defendant. Do you recall those questions? Yes, I do. When you first started spending time with the defendant, what did the defendant ask you to call him? Strictly daddy. And when, if ever, did you start calling him by another name? Probably when I was about 19, I started calling him Papa Bear. Can you call him Papa Bear when you were 17? No. You were asked on cross-examination about your first trip to see the defendant and whether or not there was a concert in Los Angeles during that first trip. Do you recall those questions? I do. And why do you recall everything the prosecutor asks you, but you can't remember shit when the defense asks you something? And you recall you were shown a document that purported to show different venues where the defendant performed. Do you remember that? Yes. Now, do you remember the first time that you saw the defendant outside of your home state of Florida? It was on the West Coast, not exactly the city. No. Okay. I'm going to show the witness what's in evidence, Exhibit 217. In 217, there's an American airline boarding pass that you previously testified about. Do you recall that? Yes, I do. And actually, can we show this into evidence? But I don't want to show the public, just the jury, please. Why you don't want to show the public? Like, there's so much secretive stuff in this case. It's crazy, man. And this was traveled on April 29th of 2015, correct? Yes, it was. And why did you go to Los Angeles? The defendant had told me to text his assistant saying that Mr. Kelly said to get me to LA. Y'all want to lie, I'll hit you back. And the defendant paid for that. Yes, he did. That's a lie, because the mother says she paid for the joint. Oh, God. Here we go. And when you got to Los Angeles, did you see the defendant? I did. Any doubt in your mind that you saw the defendant in Los Angeles on that first trip? No. You were asked about whether there was a concert on that first trip. Did you have sexual contact with the defendant even when he didn't have a concert? Yes, I would. The girl said she didn't even sleep with him until she was 18. This girl's a liar, yo. Does the fact of the defendant having a concert have any impact whatsoever on whether or not you might have sexual contact with him? No, it didn't. And during that trip, that first trip to Los Angeles, that's when the defendant told you the rules for the first time, correct? Yes. And that's when the defendant told you that you should be wearing sweats for the first time, correct? Yes. And that's when the defendant told you that even though that the trip wasn't a wasted trip because it gave you an opportunity to soak it all in. Do you recall that? Yes, I do. And that all happened in Los Angeles. Yes, it did. Now, you were asked about the first time you had sexual intercourse with the defendant. What do you remember about that location? And I'm not talking about the city. What do you remember about the location where you and the defendant first had sexual intercourse? I do recall it was in the West Coast, and I remember that the room was a suite that had a kitchenette and it had a fireplace. And you have a clear memory of that. Yes, I do. And what do you remember about whether or not you had sexual contact by the time you went to the Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas? Can you rephrase that? Sorry, yes. What do you remember? Do you remember whether you had sexual intercourse with the defendant by the time you went to Las Vegas and stayed at the Mandalay Bay? Yes, I do. Had you had sexual intercourse with the defendant by that time? Yes, I had. So do you know that you had sexual intercourse with the defendant prior to when you went to Vegas? Yes, I do. How do you know that? Because of the fireplace. That was the first time. And I just remember that the fireplace vividly because I never been in a hotel room with one. And when you went to Las Vegas, do you remember what happened in the hotel room in Las Vegas? I do. Did you have sexual intercourse with the defendant there? I did. Was it memorable in some form? Yes. Why? Because he wouldn't let Juice leave. It was in front of her? Yes. On cross-examination, you were asked whether you told the government that the defendant told you you weren't pulling your weight as far as your music career was concerned. Do you recall those questions? I do. Do you remember the defendant saying you weren't pulling your weight as far as your music career? No. What? On cross-examination, you were asked whether you told the government that the defendant told you that you weren't pulling your weight as far as your music career was concerned. Do you recall those questions? I do. Do you remember the defendant saying you weren't pulling your weight as far as your music career? No. You were also asked about whether your mother had told you to take as many photographs as you possibly could of you and the defendant together and to include crazy face ones kissing because she felt you felt that your mother wanted to exploit Mr. Kelly to the media to take advantage of his finances. Do you recall those questions? I do, yes. And when you were asked that question, you told the defense counsel that wasn't true. Can you explain what you meant by that? My mother had asked me to send her pictures of me and the defendant. However, the defendant had added on to exploit him. What? You can clearly see this girl was coached after the goddamn recess. Why did she say this to the goddamn defendant? I mean, to the defense. So when your mom asked you to take photographs of you and the defendant, she never told you that it was for the purpose of exploiting the defendant, did she? Correct. Is this girl out of her mind? That is true. You just told it. You don't remember telling Gayle King the same thing? Yo, I can't wait for Jennifer to get this girl on the stand. This girl, she's going to jail for perjury. I think she got immunity, so she might not. But she needs to go to jail for perjury, dog. And who gave you the idea that this was for the purpose of exploiting the defendant? The defendant. How? You said it's about your parents yourself. Yo, I can't. Yo, this girl is the worst, yo. Yo, R. Kelly should have never, ever fucking trusted this girl. She's worse than the fucking parents. She make the parents look like. Now I see why her father says she's a fucking liar. Her own father says she's a liar. You don't know when to believe this girl, yo. And by the way, you did take certain photographs of yourself and the defendant together, correct? Yes, I did. And you testified about some of them photographs on direct examination, right? Yes, I did. Did you ever provide those to the media? Some of them, yes. Did you provide them to the media back in 2015 when you took them? Never. 2016? Never. To your knowledge, did your parents provide them to the media in 2015? Never. 2016? Never. And when you say you provided something to the media, what are you referring to? I'm referring to when the defendant was no longer residing at Trump Towers. So fast forward to 2020, 2019. 2019, yes. And why did you provide them to the media? Because she licensed them motherfuckers to the Lifetime for surviving R. Kelly. All those pictures in surviving R. Kelly, they got checks for. Oh, listen to her answer. I don't recall why, actually, but I believe it was for different reasons. It was for what surviving R. Kelly. God damn it. Y'all got big checks. R. Kelly was in jail. Come on, man. Anyway, I don't recall why, actually, but I believe it was for different reasons. It was for money. When you provide them to the media, were you still with, not physically with, but were you still with the defendant? I was, yes. And was it in part to show that the defendant wasn't a bad guy? Well, don't lead the witness. It was, yes, it was. Just rephrase it. I'm sorry. Can you explain something? I know you said that there were different reasons that you provided them to the media. Yes. Can you explain some of those reasons why you provided them to the media? Well, it was for a documentary that was a friend of the defendants, and he had publicized them from that documentary. What documentary is that? The Presidents or Surviving R. Kelly? Which one is it? And when you said he, who are you referring to? To the friend of the defendant. And who is this friend? I would love to know. And did the defendant, what, if anything, did the defendant say about the documentary? The documentary was in favor of the defendant. And who idea was the documentary? The defendant's friend. And what, if anything, did the defendant himself think of the idea of the documentary? Objection. Sustained. I mean, you won. Sustained. What, if anything, did the defendant say to you about the documentary? He didn't say anything about the documentary, but his friend did say that it was, okay, no. I'm sorry. That's all right. Next question. Okay. On cross-examination, you were asked certain activities of Juice and Nick. Do you recall some of those questions? Yes. You were asked whether Nick had a car, Juice had a job. Do you remember that? Yes, I do. Were you allowed to discuss Juice's personal life with Juice? No. And how about Nick? No. Do you really have an idea whether Nick had a car? No. Whether Juice had a job? No. Did you have a job? No, I did not. Did you have a car? No, I did not. And on cross-examination, you were asked about the fact that you didn't have a job, and counsel asked you, I believe, whether you at times tried to get a job. Do you recall those questions? Yes, I do. I want to direct your attention to the summer. I want to direct your attention to the summer and fall of 2019. Did you take any steps to try to get a job then? Yes, I did. And did you have discussions with the defendant about trying to get a job? Yes, I did. What types of job did you try to get during the the summer of 2019 and the fall of 2019? Any job that was hiring. And can you just say, like, what types of jobs you were looking at? Retail, corporate, office, those are a few. And what, if anything, did the defendant say about you getting a job? He said that it would have to be right. And did he explain what he meant by it being right? We already knew what that meant. What do you understand that the defendant meant? Meaning that the job No men could be working at the job in order for us to get hired there. What fucking job are they going to get that men don't work there? A female spa? Oh, God, this man. I can't take this. I cannot take this, man. They really convicted this man on this shit right here, man. Were you able to find a job where you didn't interact with men? No, we were not. And by the way, when you say we, who are you referring to? Me and Joy. Did you try and get a job on your own? I don't remember. Okay, but you said we. I just wanted to understand. What was Joy role in getting a job? Oh, no, we had to get a job where we were hired together. That was also what he said. How can you get a... Come on, man. And by he, referring to the defendant, yes. So you had to find a job where you and Joy could work together and you could interact with men. Is that correct? Yes. But this nigga giving y'all $5-10 grand a month allowance to go shopping. What the fuck y'all need a job for? Like, come on, man. Stop playing with us, y'all. Stop playing with us. On cross-examination, you were asked about the time when you left the defendant and went to Florida and then returned back to the defendant. Do you recall those questions and your answers? I do, yes. And do you remember who you went to see when you went to Florida? Yes, I do. Who did you went to see? Not by name, but by relation. Oh, my brother. And do you remember how you got to Florida? Yes. My brother had paid for the flight. And do you remember when you arrived in Florida? Approximately what day and time? Yes, it was definitely. How do you remember everything? But when the defense asks you questions, you don't remember shit. Approximately what time of day or night? Yes, it was definitely evening noon time. It probably had to be about any time after 5 p.m. Okay, and do you remember what you did that night in Florida? Yes, I do. What did you do? My brother invited me out to like a hookah lounge and tried to make me feel better. You still underage, going to a hookah lounge. Oh, but your brother could take you there. Okay, all right. And did you go to the hookah lounge? Yes, you did. And did you then? Where did you go after that? I went back to my brother's apartment. And what did you do when you went back there? The defendant had booked me a flight for the next morning. Do you remember what time you left? Immediately. Oh, actually, I believe I left that same night. So you flew in. Your brother took you to a hookah lounge. Y'all went back to your brother's house, and then you went right back to the airport and flew back to Chicago. I don't know if y'all believe her, but I sure don't. So approximately how long were you in Florida? For less than 24 hours. On cross-examination, you asked about how you dressed when you met the defendant at the Dolphin Hotel. Do you recall that? Yes, I do. And you read certain letters and you were asked about whether it was true that it was your mom's idea how to dress that day. Do you recall that? Yes, I do. And how your mom wanted you to look, all grown. Do you recall that? Yes, I do. I'm showing the witness has been marked as identification 233A. May I approach your honor? Yes. Generally speaking, do you recognize without Do you recognize what's shown in 233A? I'll have to see it. Okay, hold on. I'm going to direct your attention. I am going to put it. Can I show the witness, only the witness, Elmo, please? Yes. And is there a part that is highlighted? Can you make a moment and read that, please? Yes. To yourself. Yes, I can. What is that? Just generally speaking. Here's a message from my mother. And what is the date of that message? April 21st, 2015. And do you remember what you were doing that day? Yes. What were you doing? I was going to the audition for the defendant at the Dolphin Hotel. Yes, I was. Can you read the text message that's highlighted from your mother on April 21st of 2015? I don't think this is in evidence yet. I don't want to offer the entire thing in evidence. Why you don't? Do you remember that your mom told you that day? Yes, I do. What did your mom tell you that day? She basically told me that not to look too grown. Did she testify that I'm over told her to wear tight jeans and the crop top? Yo, what are they trying to play games with us here? Are we fucking stupid or something? What did your mom tell you that day? She basically told me that not to look too grown. And that was for your audition with the defendant? Yes. On cross-examination, I said you was asked about certain type written letters that you said you wrote and sent to the defendant. Do you recall those? Yes, I do. And I'm just going to put them on the screen for the witness. It was defense exhibit Q and R. Do you remember those letters? Yes, I do. And why did you write those letters? Defendant was no longer living at the Trump Towers, and he had told us to write him letters. And what, if anything, did the defendant tell you to write on letters? He would tell us specific things that we talked about because it was checked, but they were mostly to uplift his spirits. And when you said, and Your Honor, may I lead here? Yes. The reason why the defendant told you that the specific things would be checked was because the defendant was incarcerated, correct? Yes, sir. 1 second. And you said that certain things and specific things would be checked because the defendant was incarcerated, correct? Yes, that is true. I believe. Whoops, you're the witness. This is dying. Oh, and you said that certain things would be checked. What do you mean by that? Meaning that I guess the officers in the mailroom would read all the letters before they got to him. And at the time you wrote those letters, the defendant was under federal indictment, correct? Correct. And there were certain victims named in that indictment, correct? Objection, overruled, correct. And I'm sorry, just to be clear, you said that there were, who was in the mailroom? The police officers at the jail would read over every piece of mail. Oh, okay. And at the time, I just asked you about this federal indictment and the fact that there were certain victims named in it. Were you one of them victims' names? I was, yes. And at the time, you weren't cooperating with the government, correct? Objection. Can I just see the parties at the side, please? I thought everybody was Jane Doe in the indictment. Ms. Geddes, she was Jane Doe number 5. I'm sorry, so I don't mean that she was named by first and last name. I see. But she, based on the conduct, she understood and had been informed that she was one of the victims in the case, and both the defendant and she were aware of the microscope that was on their relationship. The court, what's your objection? How is this? How is this? This is beyond the scope of the cross-examination. I asked nothing about the content of the indictment. That's kind of not a thing beyond the scope of the cross. She's asking why she wrote the letters, not about, and this is relevant. But I take it that, at least as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, that the point is to, and I think you've done it already, the point is to bring out the fact that he was incarcerated at the time. Was this in Chicago, by the way? He was incarcerated in Chicago, yes. He was incarcerated at the time that he had advised her that the mail was checked, and that's why she wrote the letters, Mr. Koenig. So what does this other stuff have to do with that? I can explain. Judge, I never want your job. Defense counsel introduced letters to show. Let me get past all this shit. Okay. Do you have your next person ready to go, or is it the video person? No. He's here, yes, the court. So, hold on. Did they dismiss? I don't know how R. Kelly is found guilty, man. All right, here we go. Before the break, we were talking about a federal indictment in which named you, not by name, but by an alias. And then, yeah, how could she have known her name was in the indictment when they block out people's names and just list them as Jane Doe? So she's lying? How she can say she looked at the indictment and knew her and Joy name was in it? How would you know that? This girl's lying. This girl. All right. Not by this girl's a liar. Before the break, we were talking about a federal indictment in which named you, not by name, but by an alias, as a victim. Do you recall those questions? I do. At the time of the indictment and at the time that you wrote those letters to the defendant and defendants exhibit Q and R, you were cooperative with the government at that time. I was not. In government exhibit, in defense exhibit Q, which is in evidence, that highlighted part, it reads, when we carved our initials into that table. Do you recall what you're referring to when you wrote, when we carved our initials into that table? Yes, I do. What were you referring to specifically at that statement? An incident that happened in 2015 where the defendant had carved our initials at a table at the Hyatt. And where was the Hyatt located? In Atlanta, Georgia. And do you remember what happened right before the time when the defendant carved your initials into that table at the Hyatt? Yes, what happened? We had planned a picnic. And had you been with the defendant in the immediate days prior to that? Yes, I had. Where had you been? I believe the big house. Objection, I believe. Well, do you know or were you not? Don't forget about your microphone. Yes, it was Atlanta, Georgia, at the hotel and the big house. Okay. And when you wrote this letter to the defendant, you knew that one of the rules that the defendant had was to remain positive, correct? Yes, it was. And in fact, Government Exhibit 331, which is in evidence, can you read just that second point? Find a positive quote to say to daddy every day. And where were the letters that you wrote an example of positive things that you were sharing with the defendant? And were there letters, excuse me, that you wrote an example of positive things that you would share with the defendant? Yes, there were. On cross-examination, you were asked about 2 audio recorders and you listened to those recordings, correct? Yes, I did. What part of that same documentary supporting the defendant? Was that part of the same documentary supporting the defendant? Yes, it was. On the cross-examination, defense counsel, and just to be clear, that documentary, that was the one made by the defendant's friend. Yes, it was. Defense counsel on cross-examination showed you Defense Exhibit U, which I'm showing the witness only. Do you recognize the Defense Exhibit U? Yes. On the cross-examination, the counsel showed it to you, but this one wasn't read to the jury, correct? Correct. Do you remember the circumstances under which you wrote this letter? I'm sorry. Is this in evidence or not? It is in evidence. Okay. Yes, I do. Can it go to the jury? It can go to the jury, yes. Can it go public? This can go public, yes. At this least this page of it can. What were the circumstances under which you wrote this letter? The defendant had told me what to say in this letter and referred to both this letter and the other letter, handwritten letters that you testified about when I've been just asking you questions today. Who did you give those letters to? The defendant. And the Defense Exhibit U, I'm going to refer to page 2. This is also evidence. This is already evidence, and we can publish this as well, not just to the jury. Where it says, at the age of 17, I never had sex with Robert Kelly. Is that accurate? Now, she wrote that. That is not accurate. Were you lying before or lying now? Or were you telling the truth before or are you telling the truth now? What's up with this girl, yo? Where it says at the age of 17, I never had sex with Robert Kelly. Is that accurate? That is not accurate. Whose idea was it to write that? The defendants. Defense counsel on cross-examination showed you reports that have been prepared. Girl, we seen you on Gayle King say you did not have sex with him at 17. Defense counsel on the cross-examination showed you certain reports that had been prepared by agents with the Department of Homeland Security. Do you recall those reports? Yes. Prior to your cross-examination by defense counsel, had you seen any of those reports? No, never. And did you ever have an opportunity to review those reports for accuracy? Never. On cross-examination, defense counsel asked you about all the sorts of things that your parents did. Do you recall those questions? Yes. Who exposed you to a sexually transmitted disease without your consent? Your parents? Objection. Or the defendant? Overruled. The defendant. Who had sexual contact with you, including sexual intercourse with you when you were 17 years old? Your parents or the defendant? The defendant. Who made you write letters containing false confessions? Your parents or the defendant? The defendant. Who made you film videos of you engaging in degrading conduct, including smearing and eating feces? Your parents or the defendant? The defendant. Who gave you spankings every 2 or 3 days? Your parents or the defendant? The defendant. Is this the same girl that said this man never abused her? Is this the same? Is this the same man that all these women say he never abused them? So this nigga beat you every 2 or 3 days and you stay there. It's hard to trust some women, boy. Some women you cannot trust, man. I swear to God. Some of these women cannot be trusted, man. Wow. Whose idea was it to call those spankings chastisements? Your parents or the defendant? The defendant. Who made you stay in your room or on a tour bus for days at a time as punishment? Your parents or the defendant? The defendant. Who directed you to have sexual contact with other females at his discretion? Your parents or the defendant? The defendant. Or your parents ain't tell you to have sex with R. Kelly? The answer should be both, according to what you said about your mother. Who directed you to have contact with nephew? A man you never even met, at his direction, or your parents, or the defendant? The defendant. Who the hell told you to go live with the defendant and sign paper over with a woman you never met? The defendant or your parents? Exactly. This is some sad ass shit. This girl was so coached. Nothing further, Your Honor. Okay. Any recross examination? Hell yes. Yes. Do you need a moment? Oh, I got this. She's ready to go. Oh, I didn't just want to jump right in, Your Honor. You were asked on redirect as to which you told Mr. Kelly that you were 18. It was your parents who told you, Mr. Kelly, to tell Mr. Kelly that you were 18. Am I correct? That is not correct. Whoa. Y'all don't remember her saying that? And when you told that to the government in your interview, you saying that was a mistake? That was not accurate. That was not accurate. So you told the federal government that your mother told you to lie and say you was 18. Now you saying under oath that ain't true. Perjury. Lock her up. Perjury. Which one of these people who are sitting at this table here indicated where we're in the room at the time taking notes? Objection. Overruled. I feel like we went over this before, but do you remember? At any particular time or just ever? Yes. Okay. Do you remember which of the people at the table was in the room when you met with them? They were all present at different times. He got asked. The whole prosecutor, people was saying right there when she told him her fucking mother told him to say that. Now she changing the story. Okay, let's get it. Good job, Mr. Cannick. Good job. They were all present at different times. And they were taking notes. Am I correct? Correct. Okay. They got an ass right there. Now, the government asked you when you wrote the letter to Mr. Kelly when he was in jail, you wrote letters that were positive and uplifting to him. Am I correct? Yes. And at that time, you weren't seeking a book deal, were you? I was not. Okay. Now you are? I am not. Well, the visit to Stacey Brown was not about a book deal. Objection. Overruled. You said now, as of today's date, when you, after you started cooperating with the government, you sought a book deal. Am I correct? Correct. Now, are you aware? I want to go back to the letter that you sent to your brother. I never sent that letter to my brother. The letter you wrote to your brother. In that letter, you said, Mom continued to nag me about sleeping with him and trying to take as many pictures and video as I could of him and me because she said to me that she wanted to use those pictures and video to blackmail him in case he didn't want to do what they asked him to do. In your interview with the government, you told the government, did you not, that your mother had asked you to take as many pictures of you and Mr. Kelly together to include the crazy face ones kissing because she felt that her mother wanted to exploit him to the media since she was 17 years old at the time. That's what you told the government during those meetings. Am I correct? That was not accurate. It's written in the document. Am I correct? Correct. Okay. And when you interviewed, being interviewed by the government, they told you to tell them the truth. Am I correct? Yes, they did. And again, they told you that if you were to make a false statement to a government official, that's a crime. I don't recall that. Are you aware of that? Yes, I am. Now, you also told your brother in that letter that the police officers come into the door at the Dolphin Hotel. You remember discussing that in the letter, am I correct? It was written in the letter, yes. And that's part of the same thing you told the government during your interview with them of you. Am I correct? I don't remember. You see, I sure remember shit when it's in defense. And do you remember writing a letter that they didn't even hesitate to take you out of the Florida Education Department? That wasn't correct. I didn't ask you if it was accurate. I asked you, do you recall that being in the letter that you wrote? Yes, that's in the letter. And that's the same thing that you told the government. Am I correct? I don't recall telling them that. And, of course, if the government wrote that down in their paperwork, they made a mistake, right? I don't know. Now, in the letter that you wrote directly to your brother, you referenced your father trying to get Mr. Kelly to give him a lightning job, the job of being his light man. Do you remember talking about that in the letter? Yes, I do. Now, that's the same thing you told the government. Am I correct? Only one Mayday. Thank you, baby. Am I correct when you spoke with them? That is correct. And you would agree with me that at the time you're fully in cooperation with the government. Am I correct? If there's a timestamp, is there a timestamp or a date? Well, when you're sitting down being interviewed by the government, you were going to the government and cooperating with them. Am I correct? Correct. And you would agree with me that Mr. Kelly was not in that room. He was not. Right. He was in jail. Am I correct? Yes, you are. So he wasn't there to tell you what to say. Am I correct? That is true. That came out your mouth on your own violation. Am I correct? Objection to the tone. Objection to what? Tone. No. Overrule. I don't recall. You don't recall that came out your own mouth, your own violation. Objection. Well, I've kind of lost the thread of what we're talking about. Do you recall the statement that Mr. Kanik is asking you about? Can you repeat the statement? Do you recall sitting with the government and giving them your account as to what you said Mr. Kelly subjected you to? Can you rephrase that question? You sat down with the government. Am I correct? Yes, I did. You told them what you said to the jury. Am I correct? What is the question that you asking me? I couldn't have been this lawyer. I would have had to walk out the courtroom like and scream at the top of my lungs. Give me the answer to the question that I'm asking you. My question is, you had a meeting with the government. Yes, I did. You made an allegation. Am I correct? Well, what was the allegation? Just answer this question. Oh, Jesus. Mr. Cannick, calm down. I don't understand. Well, he just wants his answer question. Look, you had a meeting with the government. You told them certain things, correct? So far? Yes, I did. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Cannick. Mr. Kelly wasn't there. Am I correct? No, he was not. The things they wrote down on the paper came from you. Am I correct? Yes. Not from Mr. Kelly. No. And the things you told them are the very same things that you told your brother in this letter. That's not true. Nothing further, Your Honor. Okay, any redirect? Very briefly, Your Honor. Everybody says that. Go ahead. I mean it. On cross-examination, you were asked about what happened when the officers, or what you said happened with the officers showed up at the hotel. Did the officers show up at the Dolphin Hotel? Your Honor, that's beyond the scope. That's not what I asked. I asked her what's in the document, not what happened. I have to agree. I don't think that this is well-worn ground that he showed us. If there's something specific, and yes, you want to ask that, that's fine. From Mrs. Gidders. And a letter to your brother, which is one page of it is in evidence. As defense exhibit P, it is said. Once I got there, after about 30 minutes, they planned on calling the police. What part, if any, in that statement is untrue? They planned. The rest of it is true, though, right? Correct. It's just the case they didn't plan it. Correct. Nothing further. Anything else, Mr. Cannick? Your Honor, before this witness goes, I just offer, I think it's defense exhibit I and H and I ask it to be played for the jury. Any objection? No. Do we have it? Do we have to play it now? I think we have another witness that's available. Okay, we can play it after the witness leaves. Well, you are not going to have any more questions for this witness about that, right? I am not. How long is it, Mr. Cannick? About a minute. Oh, if it's that short, you could play it. It's probably a little longer. Give us 5. 5, all right. Go ahead. Your Honor, can the witness be excused? Yes. It's just an audio, correct? It's a video. I thought we were just playing audio. There's no reason in the government's view, there's no reason to play the video. She saw the video and audio. Can I ask the question over at the side? We don't need the reporter. All right. I think under the circumstance, let's just play the audio. Okay, all done. There's no second. No, there's a second video. Audio play, audio stop. Thank you, Your Honor. All right. Are you ready to call? I think we have someone appearing by video. No, who's the next witness? Ms. Cruz Melendez, Your Honor, the government has called Keith Williams to the stand. Please stand and raise your right hand. Keith Williams is duly sworn, affirmed. Please state your name for the record, Keith Williams. All right, before I get into Keith Williams, I'm going to stop right here on Azriel. I heard enough from this girl in this testimony, in this trial, from the defense testimony, from the prosecution's testimony, from the redirect, cross-examination, her on Gayle King, the first time, her on Gayle King the second time, her on these documentaries on YouTube, her on social media. Azriel is the most incredible person in this entire case. This girl lied so many times that my head is spinning with all the lies. Like, if they could give you the electric chair for perjury, this girl would be fried to a fricassee. You hear me? This girl is, she lied so much, man. And then the prosecution coached her so much. Like, this shit, her fucking lies gave me a headache. She gave me a headache. She gave me a fucking headache. We'll get back to this tomorrow, y'all. I need to go take a walk or something. That girl is a liar. We might have to have a panel tomorrow. Everybody gonna have to come on and we're gonna have to discuss this Azriel girl. Because when I tell you, man, this girl got my brain fried to a fricassee. Like, what the hell did we just go through in this testimony, yo? Draining is, I'm getting ready to go refill my cup. Show no joke. I'll holler at y'all later, man. This is crazy.